Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, let's pull up this screen. All right, folks, we got a little bit of a problem. There's a lot of Kentucky fans that are really upset about all the media attention the Vols have been getting over the last year, and it's starting to affect them. And we've also got a Hendon Hooker injury update, so we're going to be covering all those things. Now, first of all, look, I understand that the Vols are getting a whole lot of media attention with their football, basketball, baseball, all the way across the board, even the women's sports. So it's probably pretty upsetting to Kentucky. And look, I understand. I feel your pain, and I really, we need to be sensitive about this.
You want me to give you the number of a different cable company that can... Oh, wait, we're it, aren't we?
That's right, and it is too bad because, look, they're not getting a lot of attention, and I understand why. It starts with the football team. It's been getting a ton of attention, and the viewers that are watching the Vols, it's so far beyond the Tennessee property lines, it's ridiculous because there's only like 4 or 5 million people that live in Tennessee, but our ratings are so far above that. And it's because we play a very exciting, fun, fast-paced offense that people really enjoy watching. And I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. And the Vols started out with Florida, and they've had game day in Knoxville so many times it's ridiculous. But starting out against Florida, let me show you those numbers. It says the Volunteers win over Florida, which peaked at 6.74 million viewers, was the highest rated and most watched college football game of the weekend. The SEC on CBS has topped the charts in both of its weeks this season. Okay, now that's just one game. It gets worse. The Tennessee-Alabama game says the game between the two longtime SEC rivals even peaked at 17 million viewers, making it the most watched college football regular season game on CBS since 2019. So how about them apples? That's a lot of people. 17 million people, and there's 4 or 5 million people in the state of Tennessee. So, yeah, we're awful popular. But that's not the only one. The Georgia game says Volunteers was the most watched college football game of the season, and the most watched Tennessee game ever. It was number 1 versus number 3, and at one point there were over 20 million viewers watching that ball game. 20 million. So you can understand why ESPN keeps bringing game day to us. We had game day here twice. Last year in Knoxville, they had game day at Sanford Stadium when we played Georgia. They had game day last weekend when we played Texas, and I think that's probably what's got Kentucky distraught because realize the same day that we were playing Texas, which was 2 top 10 matchups, Kentucky was playing Kansas. And Kentucky and Kansas are blue bloods. I mean, that's a game you would expect them to have game day there. But unfortunately, for Kentucky, they're not ranked. And see, if you're not ranked, you're probably not going to get a lot of eyeballs on a game. And certainly game day's not going to show up. I was just wondering, who won that game anyway?
Oh, who won that fight anyway?
Yeah, Shooter and I don't know. And then, of course, the game against Clemson, there were 8.6 million viewers watching that game, which it was the most watched non-playoff Orange Bowl since 2017. Look, we can't help that Tennessee is very, very popular, and they're also very successful. Number 6 in football, probably going to be number 3 or number 2 in basketball after beating Texas. And then, of course, the baseball teams, they've just become the best team in the country is all. And I'm sure, there's going to be a ton of attention on that team as well. There's not much we can do about that. Okay, when you play really well, fun, exciting brand of sports, it's just going to draw eyeballs. So I don't think that we should feel sorry or feel bad because Kentucky can't get that type of attention. But they're upset about it, and I'll show you. And this is in Rocky Top Insider. It says, Kentucky fans are sick and tired of Tennessee hosting premier events. It says, the rivalry between Kentucky and Tennessee has been long documented between 2 passionate fan bases. That's true. Through 118 games played in football, Tennessee's won 83 and lost 26. And then in basketball, Kentucky leads 159-77 over 200 meetings. And it says, prior to the top 10 matchup between Texas and Tennessee on Saturday, ESPN brought down College Game Day for the Saturday morning show. Even before that, ESPN broadcast the Women's College Game Day show from Knoxville on the prior Thursday night, making it 2 broadcasts in 3 days for ESPN at the University of Tennessee. It's the first school in history to host ESPN College Game Day in football, basketball, and women's basketball all in 1 year. It seems as though a weekend at Tennessee and College Game Day has rattled the cage of some Kentucky fans. It says one of them says they're so sick and tired of seeing Game Day being in Knoxville. And it says, I'm sure baseball is next if they had such a thing. What has this school done in order for them to be all over ESPN? I just don't get it, one exclaimed. It says, College Game Day has seemingly set up a second home at Tennessee with 4 appearances since September. And, of course, they welcomed in the Florida and Alabama game. I showed you those. It says, a passionate fan base, along with, great sports. They're going to come down here because they're going to get tons of views. And the ESPN's Seth Greenberg says, come on, man. So we were just talking about Tennessee as one of those places they embrace, and they are embraced men's college basketball in the SEC long before almost anyone. They have great love, great ownership, and great passion, great energy. They have a terrific team. You've got an incredible atmosphere. It's going to be an incredible environment. It says, we're only on the road for 6 games, and Tennessee is one of those 6. And it talks about how we were number 6 in football, number 4 in rising in basketball, number 2 in baseball. It says Tennessee is one of the hottest teams in the nation right now and boasts a fan base that has proven to be active whenever ESPN shows up. And, I do understand they're upset. And I will show you the viewers that we had when we played Kentucky. And right here it shows Kentucky versus Tennessee. We had 4 million people watch that game. So, look, Kentucky, you should be pretty happy. That's a lot of eyeballs watching Kentucky football, 4 million. Had you not played Tennessee, it had probably been 1 or 2. Now, actually, I have a little highlight from that game last year.
And I will not be bullied by that.
Yeah, that's pretty much how that game went. Yeah, I'd forgotten the score. It was 44-6. So I think that was a pretty accurate representation and highlight. And that may have something to do with it. But look, there's only so much we can do. When you're really good at stuff, and you have an exciting brand, folks are going to watch. So maybe what they need to do is start working on that a little bit. Look, you've got a pretty good football coach up there, but he's a defense guy and he wants to run the ball. And that's just not something people are going to watch a whole lot of. Doesn't mean you're not going to win some games, because you will. And y'all have had some good years and you've got a good coach. But, we've got a better one. Sorry. Now let's talk about Hendon Hooker. It says Hendon updates recovery from season-ending knee injury. It says, of course, they were talking about how he was a revelation for Tennessee in 2022. Also 2021, he played incredibly well. His numbers were obscene. It says Hooker's season, of course, was cut short, knee injury in South Carolina. And let's see what his update is. It says Hooker's personal update for his recovery. He said Hooker is off the crutches and indicated he should be back running by the end of March and will be ready for training camp wherever he winds up. And here he is where he was interviewed. So I think he's going to be fine. The nice thing is when they have an ACL injury, that used to be curtains, especially if you're a wide receiver or something like that. Quarterbacks could usually come back, but they were never as fast. Now when you get an ACL injury, you can come back and be just as good as you were. You don't lose a step, and you don't have to worry about it, being any weaker than the other knee. So that's the really good news there. It'll affect his draft a little bit. He'll probably drop, a round or 2 because of it, because he won't be ready right off the bat, and he didn't finish up the year strong. But he's going to be fine. And I think some team's going to be fortunate to have him. If they pick him up in the 3rd or 4th round, they're going to be lucky, because this is a guy that plays well under pressure. He's accurate. He throws a good deep ball, and he runs the ball really well. And you need that in the NFL these days. If you'll notice, the running quarterbacks are the ones that are most successful right now. The guys that just stand back there are kind of having a tough time, because this is becoming more of a running quarterback league. So I think Hendon's going to do well. Even if he's as a backup for a while, which I would expect, at some point he'll get his shot. And I think he'll excel and play well. We'll see. But I'm glad to see that he's doing well, and I'm sure you are too. All right, folks, I just wanted to cover all this action. I hate the Kentucky fans are upset about all the attention we're getting, but look, there's only so much we can do. And I'm also really happy that Hendon's doing well. And, Kentucky, you'll be okay. Look, it's all going to be all right. But look, you've got a good basketball team. You're going to be fine, and your football team's pretty good too. So, just look, try to see the bright side of it and quit wanting what we've got. It'll be okay. Just be happy with what you have. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover the Vols and the SEC and all that good stuff. And if you have not subscribed, it's right here on the left. Be sure to smack that little button right there. It costs you nothing. Helps me out. I'd appreciate it. I know some of you watch my program. You don't hit that button. It's just so easy. And right over here, YouTube puts a video. That's my most recent one. It's pretty popular. Be sure to check it out. It's kind of funny, too. Anyway, I hope you did like the content. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.